Good evening, residents of Everett, Washington. We're a very talkative group here tonight. I thank you for tuning in and watching and joining us. I'd like to call the order of the City of Everett Council meeting of March 13th, 2024. The City Council meets all requirements of the State of Washington Open Public Meetings Act. Committee members are welcome to join either in person, remote via Zoom, or by calling in. For those who wish to participate in the future via Zoom, you'll find the instructions to register for public comment on the City of Everett website under the City Council Department. Please note that we do not allow comments of any kind of campaigning, whether for or against ballot measures or candidates running for office. We also do not accept comments focused on personal matters that are unrelated to city business. We ask that the audience refrain from clapping, cheering, or booing, and no signs of any kind are allowed to be in the chambers. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Mayor Franklin.
Here.
Councilmember Fosse. Here. Councilmember Zarlingo.
Here.
Councilmember Vogely.
Here.
Councilmember Bader.
Here.
Councilmember Ryan.
Here.
Councilmember Tui.
Here.
President Schwab.
Here. I'd like to ask Councilmember Bader to lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I would like to ask Councilmember Fosse to read the land acknowledgement.
Thank you. The City Council wishes to acknowledge the original inhabitants of this place, the Shahobs people and their successors, the Tulalip tribes. Since time immemorial, they have hunted, fished, gathered on, and taken care of these lands and waters. We respect their sovereignty, their right to self-determination, and honor their sacred spiritual connection with the land and water. We will strive to be honest about our past mistakes and bring about a future that includes their people, stories, and voices to form a more just and equitable society.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes for March 6, 2024?
Councilor Ryan so moves.
Seconded.
Okay, our motion is second. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Fosse.
Abstain.
Vice President Zarlingo.
Here.
Councilmember
Sorry.
Vogely.
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely.
Yes.
Councilmember Bader.
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan.
Yes.
Councilmember Tui.
Yes.
President Schwab.
Yes, and good evening, Mayor.
Good evening, President Schwab and council members. I just returned today from the Climate Mayor's Leadership Forum with the C40 cities as part of the Aspen Institute Ideas Climate Conference, which was really amazing. I was grateful to be able to participate because they covered all the 40 mayors' costs fully, so that was really nice. It was a quick trip, but really good to be able to share the successes we've had in Everett Transit and some of the work that our teams are doing on our climate action plan, and also talk about what the county's doing in sustainable aviation fuel, which was definitely one of the top topics, and was cool to meet the Secretary of the Interior and Secretary of Energy and just see all these super smart people that are leading the charge. And I know this is an important issue to all of you as well, so I look forward to trying to consolidate all the ideas that came from the conference and share them with the department heads, and then follow up with you on some of the work that we might be able to do, and funding for climate action work through the federal government. Last week I missed council because I was in DC to attend my third Yale Mayor's College, and that was hosted and funded by the Yale School of Management, their Chief Executive Leadership Institute. And last week the focus was on national security trends, especially cybersecurity, and steps that we have to take as a municipality to protect basic infrastructure. So it was a little scary, but really informative, and a great trip. And while I was in DC, of course, I got to meet with Senator Murray and Senator Cantwell's staff and try to advocate for funding, and was really pleased to see that their focus and real strong interest now in the work that we all need to be doing on the fentanyl and synthetic drugs in our communities and addressing that. And so I got to share some of the work that we're doing, and definitely look forward to getting the recommendations from the Drug Task Force and seeing what solutions they bring forward. And then I finally have a few appointments to bring to you tonight for confirmation, and I apologize to folks in advance if I butcher any names. Would you like me to do all of them at once or do each board separately?
All of them at once.
Okay, thank you. So to the Civil Service Commission, Josh Curry to position 3. It's a new appointment, a term expiring in 2027. To the Diversity Advisory Board, 5 appointments, Beverly Moore, DeMarcus Thomas, Jose Villalez, Alan Martineau, Amara Jambai, and those terms all expire in 2025. And reappointments to the Diversity Advisory Board, Gazela Zapata Garcia, Tyra Franklin, Jean Bell, Zaid Almana, Terry Lott, and Natalia Toon. And those expire in 2025 as well.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion for the approval of these appointments?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, motion a second. Do we have any questions? Okay, hearing none. Clerk, will you take the roll?
Councilmember Fosse?
Yes.
Vice President Zerlingo?
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely?
Yes.
Councilmember Bader?
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan?
Yes.
Councilmember Tui?
Yes.
President Schwab?
Yes.
Thank you. I have no further comments this evening. Just good to be back.
Thank you very much. Hi, Angie. Do we have anyone signed up today to speak?
Good evening, President Schwab. We do. We have 2 people in chambers, so I'll call on Lane. If you could please come to the podium. Please hit the right button on the base, and you have 3 minutes to speak, and there's a monitoring system there that you can track. At the yellow light, you have 30 seconds.
Yep.
And go ahead.
Well, obviously, I'm going to be coming in here for the homeless. I'm feeling like, well, obviously they don't want to come in, but they do have a lot of voices, and a part of it is we'd like a space, literally. I mean, I'm even willing to, be the head honcho or whatever, doesn't matter. We need some place where we can go, be safe. It's not me speaking out, but a lot of people have spoken up where they can do their drugs, not around the public, not harassed, and be able to just do their own thing, our own little area, away from everybody, doesn't matter where it is. But we definitely need someplace, especially me, there's no housing for me. End of story. And I can't leave Snohomish County. It's my home. We got to figure out something for us, because a lot of us are tired of running around. We're getting in a bunch of new people, don't even know where they're coming from. A lot of them are really terrible. I don't like a lot of them. I almost got in a couple different fights. But we need to figure out something. Somewhere where we can stay, somewhere where we can take care of our own, and because we're not different, but we're homeless. A lot of them, they don't care. Those are the ones that need to be watched. But like somebody like me, I'm willing to, I'm going to keep saying it. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get everybody on board of something, because obviously I'm not going to get any housing soon. And I mean, a studio apartment, $1,800. I remember them being $400. Now they're $1,800. I can't get in with my disability plus, my little bit of work, because I know the second I start working again, I'm going to be garnished. I admit it, but I'm not worried about paying. Thing is, I'm not going nowhere. I'm driving a shopping cart. Woo! But there's a lot of voices out there, a lot of people that actually care, and it would be good if we could just kind of be in one spot, basically, like some of the shelters. But because like me, I'm not allowed in because I'm an arsonist, and I got a bad past. Anyways, just someplace where we can basically be maintained ourselves, and where the police, can watch us, and we can have, instead of us going to feeds, the feed could come to us, and we have, porta johns. I know I'd love one, because I have nowhere to go to the bathroom, and I'm getting old, and I have issues. So it's just, we need something. I would love to have something. They would love to have something where we could be safe, healthy, and we could take care of ourselves and do the right thing. So I'll see you week after next or next week. Who knows? Have a nice day. Night.
Thank you. Next, Evan, if you could please come to the podium and state your full name and city of residence, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Oh, that's on.
Oh, it's already on. Hey, y'all. Evan, City of Everett.
Great to see you again. I promised that I'll be here at least once a month to represent Bunker Arts Collective, my nonprofit. I just wanted to give you some updates. So as of about 2 weeks ago, we received a grant for $10,000. I'll be a little selfish here. I did get a job with the Marysville Boys and Girls Club. I am now their director. That grant is going towards the Marysville Boys and Girls Club community. It includes 3 murals, a community garden, a little free library, a community food pantry, and covers the full cost of that. Not compensating myself, but I'm hoping that by June, which is the deadline as to when we need to spend the money, that this will be a good example to hopefully bring through the city of Everett, and maybe a collaboration with the other Boys and Girls Clubs. Regarding our trash cleanups, I believe the last time I spoke with you, we were about maybe 3 tons total. We're now at 4.25. So we are almost at an elephant's worth of trash that we've collected off the streets. I don't know if an elephant weighs 5 tons, but I'm assuming it does. So 5 tons of trash are about to be removed from the city of Everett. We've been expanding our trash cleanups into Marysville now, and our volunteer base is getting larger. So that's really my update. I think the See-Click Fix-It app has been a great resource for a lot of our residents. I think the biggest concern, and I want to advocate for them a little bit, is if trash is on private property, it's usually deferred back or the case is just closed. But most property owners or residents may not know that it's technically private property, and so it creates a lot of confusion and frustration on their end. So I don't have a solution, I'm sorry. But I just want to put that on your radar, that folks are reporting trash and other nuisances, but for one reason or another, maybe it's not being able to get done because it is on private property or it is through Department of Transportation, whatever it may be. So I think maybe just explaining it a little bit better, just so that resident knows that, hey, we would love to take care of it, but unfortunately it's not within our jurisdiction to take that on. So that's all I have. Thank you so much for your time. I'll look forward to updating you once we get to 5 tons.
Thank you. We have one additional person, Chelsea, if you could please come to the podium. And please state your full name and city of residence.
Yeah, my name is Chelsea Gray, Port Gardner, Bayside neighborhoods, 9 years. So I'm here for a 10th time since the holidays. I went to the library to write for you guys, like, you know, speech like you do. But instead I came away with a 306-page document explaining in code, in black and white, exactly how the library computers are being hacked. And now, I mean, I may be a target of this, you know, using the Flipper Zero tool, which is an evolving threat to the public that you guys really need to look into. But also, you know, it's illegal. And I'd like to read from the Washington Cybercrime Act, if I could, of 2016. The legislature finds that the rapid pace of technological change and information computerization in the digital age generates a never-ending sequence of anxiety-inducing reports highlighting how the latest device or innovation is being used to harm consumers. Legislature finds that a more systemic approach is needed to better protect consumers and address these rapidly advancing technologies. And take my clip out. There we go. And the purpose of the Washington Cybercrime Act is to provide prosecutors and presumably police the 21st century tools they need to combat 21st century crimes. And here's of my own. It's the job of EPD and all LEA to believe and protect victims in general and of these crimes, as herein defined by the legislature, and by duly investigating claims of violation of this act and supporting evidence thereof, and to bring the cases to prosecutors Otherwise, why write laws at all? Like, why did anybody ever write this act? If the EPD and other LEA don't have the resources, they aren't allotted the resources they need to investigate and enforce in these type of cases, which are only going to become more common. Everybody knows progress is not going to go backward. And my passwords to my primary business and email accounts were stolen on, what was it? Friday the 8th. And so each time that I've gone back to the library since, I have just pulled up developer tools in a really locked down browser and recorded what I find there. And so I'm going to submit it today. If you have somebody that can read code or even English and just kind of decipher it like I have, because I'm not at all technically inclined, you can see here in black and white
We'll need
exactly
you to wrap up, Jess.
how these hacks are happening. And it's important. It's an evolving public threat. So thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes our public comments.
Thank you. Moving on to council comments and liaison reports. Councilmember Fosse.
Thank you, President Schwab. I wanted to thank, first of all, our public speakers. Thank you for providing comment this evening. And I was just saying, congratulations. The Boys and Girls Club is lucky to have you. That's great, and I appreciate you bringing positive, uplifting things and letting us know the updates here at council. I was wondering, maybe we could get a quick promotional see-click fix instruction for anyone listening after I'm done with these, just kind of explaining a little bit about that valuable app. And the gentleman that was here earlier who was expressing some difficulties finding housing. He said he was going to be here next week. I don't know if that's an opportunity to maybe have Coet here or somebody else here, maybe to connect with him. It would be nice to kind of know an update on how people are, I guess, working through housing issues and shelter issues when they have some of those, maybe more justice-involved backgrounds that, prevent them from being able to be housed, and how we're handling that to see if there needs to be other options pursued for everybody's safety and health. So I don't know if that's an opportunity for the city or folks to connect with them.
I will follow up with the COET team. Just as a quick update, we have met with him a number of times, and we have been working with him. And each individual has kind of a complicated
Yes.
history, but we can try to give you a general update on how that work goes with folks with a criminal justice
Yeah.
background, perhaps through a committee, or maybe an admin update. We'll talk. Yeah.
Awesome, yeah. With those with complicated backgrounds, it would be nice to know kind of how we approach these, and if we do have to come up with other solutions or whatnot. Thank you. And congratulations to all of our new appointments to the boards and commissions, and thank you for your service on that. A couple weeks ago, I was able to attend on behalf of the city and the mayor the Major League table tennis tournament that came to the city, and that was just amazing. I got to welcome them. It was the first of its kind in the U.S. coming through here, and that was kind of a fantastic event, and I hope to see them back. Next week, I know we have some neighborhood meetings up in my neck of the woods, and just for clarity, so everybody knows, I'll be over at the Northwest neighborhood, and I believe it's Councilmember Bader that's going to be over at Delta. So if anyone has any questions about that, you can reach out to us. But that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Councilmember Zarlingo.
Thank you. Well, for those who were looking earlier, we had the council's Built Environment Committee meeting earlier on this afternoon, chaired by Councilmember Vogely, and I'll leave her for more details than that, just to note that it was a very productive meeting, trying to work together to understand some near-term things, like the action that may happen on the Parks District development in North Everett, but also things that have to do with traffic, roads, scooters, and all those other those mobility developments happening in our community. One other thing, Mayor Franklin and other city leaders were traveling yesterday, but I had the opportunity to join with Senior Executive Director Templeman to attend the memorial ceremony for State Patrol Trooper Christopher Gadd. We're grateful to have the chance to be there. It was gratifying to see so many of our community and first responders gathered together for a common purpose. But it was wrenching to realize the tragic nature of that purpose. Trooper Gadd was a firefighter, an EMT, first in his academic class in training, and as been said, he was one of the best of us. In her remarks, Trooper Gadd's academy instructor and counselor said, "It's not fair and it's not right." Of course, even the most sincere honoring of his service and sacrifice can't undo what happened. Perhaps the tiniest bit of consolation in that public event might serve as, let me say that again, perhaps the tiniest bit of consolation is that this public event might have served as a reminder of the hazards and terrible costs of impaired driving. And I have to hope that anyone who attended the ceremony or saw news coverage that included Trooper Gadd's family, his wife, and saw their delightful 2-year-old daughter. This little girl has lost all of her future experiences of growing up with her father. I hope that anyone who saw that would do whatever they could to avoid drinking or driving while impaired, and to work to keep others from doing the same. And I'd like to lastly suggest any contributions can be made to the Behind the Badge Foundation and to the Gadd family. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Vogely.
That was somber, as it should be. So and I wish I knew the name of the other person who was struck and killed on the side of the freeway the same week. And I hope that their family is having support for the death of their loved one as well. Lane, you and I both want what you are talking about, and that is a safe place to go. I have looked up our codes, well, since I began here at this job, and it's quite difficult to move in the direction that you want. So hopefully we can talk more about that as a council and as a city. Thanks, Evan. Chelsea, that's a lot of work you're doing, so I appreciate you bringing it in. Councilmember Ryan and myself just returned from DC for the National League of Cities Congressional Conference. I chose to focus my time on housing, human development, and public safety with an added bit of art as economic development and quality of life. My biggest takeaway from this year's conference is the amazing amount of promising practices we are already utilizing in the city of Everett. We have our community outreach and enforcement team, embedded social workers with emergency medical services, and at our downtown library, and sometimes the other library. We've got housing first options, housing vouchers, temporary housing options with pallet shelters in various locations of our city. There are many jurisdictions out there in the United States of America that have only begun thinking about these things that we are doing and have been doing and are even doing well. However, we still have unsanctioned encampments, dilapidated housing stock, absentee landlords, kids are aging out of foster care, pandemic rental support has ended, and just like so many other jurisdictions around the nation, we are suffering. So we have some good things and we have some things to work on. I learned a lot, but two things I want to specifically share, and we might already know about it for something that's coming up later tonight in our agenda, but maybe not. PRICE, or Preservation and Reinvestment Initiative for Community Enhancement. HUD is issuing a notice of funding opportunity of $225 million in competitive grant funding for the preservation and revitalization of manufactured housing and eligible manufactured housing communities. Congress has directed HUD to undertake a competition using the Community Development Block Grant statutory and regulatory framework for this first-of-its-kind initiative. And there's more about that online, obviously. And then also, considering we need to build things, there is Section 108 Loan Guarantee Program, which you probably also already know about, but I didn't. The Section 108 Loan Guarantee Program provides community development block grant recipients, us, the city, with the ability to leverage their annual grant allocation to access low-cost, flexible financing for economic development, housing, public facility, and infrastructure projects. And that's like 5 years borrowed money. It's kind of neat, as I'm sure we'll probably hear later. Let's see. We, Councilmember Ryan and myself, had a fantastic networking opportunity and tour with Artomatic, a nonprofit art community whose mission statement states, Artomatic strengthens the artist community and builds an audience for that community by bringing together artists to temporarily transform available space into a creative space. There were 8 floors of art. 8 floors of art that included painting, wood carving, found collage, live music, video, poetry, and anything you could think of, and it was all for free to observe. Artists transformed office space into gallery space, and oh my gosh, I took so many pictures. If I was your like great-grandmother, I would get out the slide projector and you would be forced to watch it because it's amazing. But I won't do that to you. Yeah, I was only able to peruse 3 of the 8 floors in the 2 evenings I had to explore. It was phenomenal, and I hope that this type of thing can happen right here in Everett, especially with the Arts District forming. Whew. And on a different note, actually, before I get to that note, I think you did a good enough job of telling everybody that we talked about infrastructure and sidewalks, and you should totally go and watch the video, and if you want to know more information, maybe I'll write about it and let you know. Anyway, I received information earlier today about possible relocation assistance for a person at 1301 Lombard. And I have a few questions, and I apologize for not sending them in sooner, as I only received info earlier today. So one question is, when referencing Title 59 RCW, the Landlord-Tenant Act, specifically 59-18-0853, where does the city lie in regards to being a landlord? Is the city now a landlord, and if yes, on what date did it become a landlord? Can a resident receive a payout in lieu of rent? I didn't even get to finish my question because we had to start this meeting. So there's, we have had emails between administration and myself and other council members about what is the ending point. Where do we know that we have been successful in relocating the folks at 1301 Lombard, and how much will all of that cost? And it sounds like there have been people that have said that they would take a payout. And so I believe that we need to hear more about that. Not tonight, you just got the question, but probably before they're required to leave the premises. And I'm gonna have more questions, but those were all that I was able to get to in my brain. And then I was struck as the land acknowledgement was being read tonight, as it is every Wednesday, and it states to honor their sacred spiritual connection with the land and water. And we've gotten a few emails about the trees being cut down and the trees not going to be put in the wood chipper rather than utilized in a sacred and spiritual way as was asked of them. So I just want to remind everybody that we're on the land that we took as colonizers, and I hope that we can do better to the people by it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Bader.
Thanks, Council President. Just a couple of quick reports. Attended Puget Sound Regional Council Growth Management last week. Not a lot of topics there, but one very interesting one, a presentation on the Puget Sound water quality and some improvement, some lack of improvement, a fair amount of lack of improvement. But a great story about what Polsbo has done in terms of improving water quality for the inlet that they sit on. So that was a heartening presentation. Went to the Glacier View neighborhood the night before last, and they were talking largely about a development that was happening in their neighborhood. And just want to say, great job from our planning staff. We had an assistant planner there who did a fantastic job answering questions and providing information. So just want to shout out to them for the great information they provided in I think what was somewhat of a challenging meeting. And then last night went to the Riverside neighborhood meeting where they were planning for the rest of the coming year. So it was a great round of neighborhood meetings, and look forward to Delta next week. So and that will be it for me. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Ryan.
Great, good evening, everybody. Last Thursday, I attended the Drug Mayor Task Force meeting, and we had a really, it was a really heavy conversation with three folks with lived experience with addiction, and they shared very vulnerably about their journey into addiction, through addiction, and their way out of addiction, and it was really powerful. It was really good. Very well done, very courageous, too, for the people that got up and shared about their very personal story, and I was very struck by a common thread that I saw between all three folks was the human connection that allowed them the space and the views of self-worth to come out of addiction. And they all spoke very highly of our co-ed team. So shout out to our co-ed team for providing that human connection in the work that they do. So very good. Then on Saturday, flew out to Washington, D.C. for the National League of Cities Conference. And while I was gone, I want to send a thank you to Councilmember Toohey and Councilmember Bader for covering my neighborhood assignments while I was gone. I hope they were nice to you guys. I was very... Maybe next time. It was, as always, a really enriching experience, very good time. And I'm not just saying that because I got to hang out in the same room as President of the United States. But I won't lie, my very favorite part of the whole conference was the opportunity to sit down with representatives from our federal agencies to share with them about some of the policies that they have on their books that are unintentionally hurting the people of Everett. So my very first stop was with HUD to chat with them about some of their policies on housing and homelessness issues. Next stop was with, let's see, it was Health and Human Services Department to talk about how I would like to see them have better collaboration with our Department of Justice. And I talked to the Department of Justice for a while about some of their policies and funding that's available, and then had a great stop too with SAMHSA to chat about our fentanyl crisis and just how it's inhibiting the city to be able to provide, our fentanyl crisis is inhibiting the city from being able to provide just regular services because we're focusing so much on responding to the fentanyl crisis. And the representative from the DOJ was very all ears to that input, and it was, I think it was a great way just to highlight the work that we're doing in the city and the struggles that we have. I heard a lot from representatives at all of the meetings that I was at about their projects that they have, but they would always list East Coast cities when they would talk about the work that they're doing. So I mean, Washington, D.C. is on the East Coast. They'd be talking about East Coast, and I think we often get forgotten over here in the better Washington. So it was a good reminder of, fentanyl's hitting here first. It's hitting here hard, and we need to have all hands on deck. I had learned in the paper that Senator Murray was here in town a couple of weeks ago, and it was good to hear that she's really focused on this as well. So hopefully we can get some federal support and not just have to do this all on our own. So another great takeaway was that there is a lot of federal funding available across all different departments, EPA, DOJ. I could go through the whole alphabet list of acronyms. I'd like to send things along, but I'm not sure what's already in the works. I know we have a contract with some folks that are doing our grants work for us. I met a number of cities that have grants people on staff that pull a lot of money down for their cities as well. I don't want to go through the trouble of putting a whole list together to then hear, oh, we're already doing it. So I would like to know more about how that collaboration could be better.
I'd be happy to sit down, or if I could do a briefing here, I could talk with the committee, I could just sit down, maybe in particular, Councilmember Ryan and Bongley, since you guys it was just kind of on your mind, if you want to kind of debrief. So part of my role, I guess, facilitate our grant efforts. So I oversee the contract we have with our grant consultant. I run a little grant committee because there's people in all departments that work on grant writing and grant applications. And I try to keep all of that in my head, and I'm happy to share it at any time. So,
Great. Yeah, I know I
Yeah.
had seen recently too that our state or federal representatives have their various community grants that are available. But I just assume it went through your inbox as well, so I didn't want to be a pest, I guess.
You can
I-
always forward things. I'm
Yeah.
constantly forwarding things to Jennifer that she already received directly, but
She
I'd
is.
rather be safe than sorry. And so and honestly, there's so much federal funding available right now, which is fantastic. But it is, it's juggling. Every department is trying to look at all of those. And so Jennifer and our grant consultants really help by meeting with the department heads and kind of going through, okay, what are the main priorities that they're working on? What are the big issues they're trying to tie that back to all of these different funding opportunities. And so we do that not only with the consultants we hired, but also with our federal lobbyists for grants as well as earmarks. And so it is a big team effort that Jennifer facilitates, and she is keeps track of all of that electronically as well as in her head. But yeah, it's so much right now. It would be hard to report out every time there's a new opportunity and how we're exploring it. But I think a meeting would be great, because you guys were just at National League and we don't want to miss any of those new opportunities. I have to debrief her from my climate conference too. And then we can try to come up with a way to better inform you of all the work that's going on behind the scenes to get funding, but it's a lot. It's every department, so,
Great.
yeah.
Great. A meeting would be fantastic. I also have, knowing that we have a federal lobbyist, I have a to-do list for them.
we have, we've got lots of folks
Okay.
on our side.
Great. National League of Cities, great. Evan, thanks for joining us again today. When you mentioned that you're with I saw that you had posted online about your new position with the Marysville Boys and Girls Club, and so I look forward to future potential partnerships with Everett's Boys and Girls Club. Lions Park Boys and Girls Club came to mind, 'cause I know you already did some work there as well with some graffiti removal, but, so congrats on the new job, but just don't forget about us here in Everett. Elephants are about 15,000 pounds, which is about 2 to 7 tons, so you are correct. So just a little helpful. Thank you, Google, for that. And last, but I just wanted to thank Councilmember Zarlingo for his comments and for attending the memorial service yesterday, and just wanted to send my best to the Trooper Gadd's family and also to the extended law enforcement family. I know especially for folks here at Everett Police Department, I'm sure yesterday brought up a lot of challenging memories from when Officer Rocha passed, so thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Tui.
I attended the Port Gardner Neighborhood Association this week, and they had 3 really great speakers from the city who all did a great job on things that will affect the neighborhood there. The first one was on port freight transportation and some upcoming studies and some changes that they're going to be making. So that was good. Then Corey Hart did the red light cameras, talked about that and gave them the information and as far as the timing and all that. And then they got to look at the Kiwanis Park facelift, a couple of ideas and plans that they were getting input from the neighborhood there. And they were pretty excited about some of the things that they look forward to the Kiwanis Park upgrade. So and that was it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have a little more just administrative points I just want to share with the council. We have a lot of issues coming, not issues, but a lot of decisions to make on some big projects. So I just want to encourage those that are watching and also our council members to ask questions in writing, email them to the staff, specifically to the Parks District. I know we have a lot of questions, a lot of decisions to make. So as much time as we can get those questions out in advance, the better. Revenue options, of course, is another one. Also, the Stadium Park multipurpose facility, please feel free to send your messages into our questions to Councilmember Fossey and myself. Also, for those who might be watching, it's been 2 years since the city has gone to our 5-district system, and I think it's working out fantastic. We're still in the process of, we do have 7 council members and a mayor's staff, so we're still processing how we communicate to you and to each other. So make sure that not only your district council member gets the note, but also you can include all of us, or make sure to include the members at large. So that's Councilmember Bader and Councilmember Tui. So you guys get the emails too. On a personal note, as a first responder, I've been on I-5 between Marysville and Everett at night. And, when you're a police officer or a firefighter or EMS provider or a construction worker, you don't want to say you're afraid. That's not a word that you like to use in that industry. But it's scary. And I'm thankful for our law enforcement, all who keep attempt to keep I-5 safe. And so those of you who might be tuning in or watching, I would please encourage all of you to drive safely. And those blue and red lights mean something. And so please slow down and be aware. I-5 really is a representation of your community. What goes on there happens to filter throughout our society. So it's really important, and I'm really thankful for those that keep that highway that's safe. And for Trooper Gadd's family, as emergency provider, it's a nightmare to think what you have to be that person. Of course, nowadays we got the social media, and sometimes they find out before you have a chance to have a conversation. I know her name's public, but Cameron, and Kaylee Rebecca, his daughter, thank you for making, I know I don't know you, and you probably don't know who I am. You probably never see this, but thank you for making the ultimate sacrifice for keeping me and my family safe. So, thanks. Okay, do we have administrative update?
Yes, thanks. I have a few items. So you heard some comments from a member of the public last week about the bus stop and construction issues on Broadway and 34th. So just more to come on that. A lot of the relevant staff were busy actually over the last few days because of the memorial service. So there was a big city team to help make sure that all those street closures happened. And did great work, but it means I don't have an answer quite yet. We are, just as a heads up, set to do a legislative briefing with our lobbyist, Trevor Justin, on April 3rd. Pretty sure that will be the date. That's the date that worked for him. So I look forward to that. Hopefully you do too. Working to schedule an update on your COVID recovery funds. That all the council members have worked on or have already allocated those dollars, probably in conjunction with the budget amendment. We also have some other uses for kind of another round of COVID dollars, and that's not me that's working on that, so I'm just coordinating all of that. But that's coming in, another couple weeks. Councilmember Fossey asked about the See-Click-Fix app, which we like to call Everett at Work. It's in the App Store under See-Click-Fix, and It says, and I know that there's some kind of test issues in here as well, but the homepage says that there's almost 3,700 cases that have been fixed over the time that the app's been active. It's relatively straightforward with the ability to, create a new request, and it's great if you have it on your phone, you can take a picture of if there's trash or graffiti or concerns that you have. You can use the map to drop the pin so that it's really easy to communicate. And then I know we have a good city team working on how we respond back through the app and what kind of response individuals get, making sure that there's consistent messaging. So the feedback we heard tonight, I'll share that with them, and we'll continue refining that process just to make sure that, it feels like there's a human on the other side of the app, which there is. There's lots of departments that have a role in that, so I will share that back with them.
While you're on that, can I interrupt?
Yeah.
So it's see, click, fix. And it's a heart with a wrench?
Yeah.
Just putting that out there.
Yeah.
And then you can just press get. Okay, thanks.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I'll just-
I missed those initial details of how to get there. Thank you, Councilmember Vogely.
And I'll make a comment here. Something that we're working on, Angie and I were working on some sort of information piece that we were going to share with the mayor staff that would have a link to that. That was something that had come up in our council retreat, so something that we'll probably share with the mayor staff and you guys here in the next week or so. A couple ideas, like a postcard is one of them with the app on it.
I will
I'm sorry, can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
And this is for when neighbors come across graffiti, trash, potholes, like what else?
Encampments.
Encampments, what else?
Street lights out, whatever.
Street lights
anything.
out.
Yep.
Yep, problems that residents think the city needs to fix, because even if it's not our, if we don't have the ability to fix it because it's private property, we will still follow up and we say, oh, sorry, we're not allowed to do that, that's going on to your private property or that person's private property. But yeah, any concerns that you have, you can just go, oh, fix that, and then there's a team of people, and it really helps residents be our eyes and ears, because people often say, how come you haven't picked this up? It's like, well, we didn't know it was there, and so now we do, this is great. But yeah, so it's a super helpful, it is a lot of work, so I want our residents and our council to know, like, if things don't get, we try to be really fast, but this is additional workload, because now we're getting more information about what needs to be done, and the resources to do it remain the same as what we had before. But it is helpful for a quicker response than emailing us each individually and saying, please do this, city. So, thank you.
Yeah. A couple other categories that are in there are Everett Transit, bus stop shelter concerns. We mentioned potholes, streetlights, issues with sidewalks, so sidewalk repair kind of topics. You can submit code violation complaints through it. Water, sewer, water leaks, drainage, things like that too. So we can always email the right team, but this actually is a nice way that if you don't know who it is, or if you don't know where to go on the website, you take the picture or no picture, find the location, and then just scroll through and try to find the right category. And even if you don't know the category, it gets into the team eventually, and we'll figure that part out. And yeah, parks issues too. So yeah, issues inside of our parks. Let's see, I have two more things. So one, we are working on the federal congressionally directed spending earmarks, but congressionally directed or appropriations, I guess. So we're working on some ideas for that, but like really in the mix. There's some deadlines that are soon and some that are later, and vetting those with congressional staff too. So focused on fentanyl drug crisis issues, gun violence prevention, and some infrastructure projects. So more to come, but I've spent a lot of time on it the last recent time. And then the last piece, thanks Councilmember Vogely for your questions. We'll connect back with staff. I would say that, the Waits Motel isn't an appropriate or safe place for folks to live, and so we've continued to work with everyone there to find, first temporary if needed, but eventually permanent options for those, those that are willing. And so on the sort of like, when must one leave? I mean, that, we're in that time frame, of course, but every case is different. And as a reminder, like, it's always great, we have a good team that's working on that, having them directly connected with those individuals. But I know everyone kind of wanted, some want to take more time, which is good, to look at sort of what their options are and what makes sense for them. So you had specific questions, so we'll get back to you. Okay, sorry, it was a long update, and that is all that I have.
Thank you. Our city attorney, David Hall.
Mine's a lot shorter. No report and no executive session. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have 6 consent items. Do I hear a motion to pass the 6 consent items?
Councilor Ryan moves approval of the 6 consent agenda items.
Seconded.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Clerk, will you take the roll, please?
Councilmember Fosse?
Yes.
Vice President Zerlingo?
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely?
Yes.
Councilmember Bader?
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan?
Yes.
Councilmember Tui?
Yes.
President Schwab?
Yes. Now we have proposed action items 7 through 9, which have already been read into the record. I will now read item number 10 into the record. Item number 10, Council Bill 2403-87, first reading. Adopt an ordinance reducing the number of members of the Citizen Advisory Committee and renaming the committee as the Community Development Advisory Committee. Third and final reading, March 27th, 2024. Does any council members have questions or comments on any of these items? Actually, let's just do 7 through 9. And then we're going to cover 10 separately. Okay? Okay, good. Thank you for that. So let's go to our first reading on our item number 10. I would like, we got Kimbra here to answer any questions pertaining to item 10. And I just have one. If you could talk a little bit about what this committee does after council questions, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay.
I
Hi.
knew you did, I could tell. Councilmember Vogely.
We have a PowerPoint. We were gonna get a whole thing. We're not now, correct? And so.
Yeah, so what I would like is kind of an answer for number 10, why, to make the change, and then the second part to give an update on what actually the committee does. So the PowerPoint was just kind of a information on what the committee does.
Okay, and considering it's CDBG funding, right? This is the same thing? Okay, so were the 2 items that I brought up earlier, are they on your radar, and is that a part of what was gonna be here?
Good questions. So again, Kimber Landry, Community Development Manager for the Community Development Department. So Section 108 loans, as well as the new NOFO that HUD has put out for this, are currently not under our plans for consolidated plans, but with that, it doesn't mean that that may not be an opportunity for us to connect with administration moving forward. I am going to make a quick plug and say that our Community Housing Improvement Program does partner with Homage Senior Services for work for mobile homes right now. CHIP, as it's known, can do kind of larger scale projects. Homage does smaller grants for improvements on that, so we do have some existing resources, but if that's something that we want to bring up for future discussion, happy to work with administration to do that.
And so those are, yeah, so I'll answer that. I haven't had the opportunity to meet with staff, but all of these new opportunities that you were learning about at National League of Cities are on my radar too. I'm part of this Mayors and CEOs for U.S. Housing Investment, and so I meet almost weekly with Julie Willey, who's the Community Development Director, but on kind of the strategic goals of her division, it's less frequently, and I will be going over that and what changes we might bring to the work that Kembra's doing, and all the work that we do in allocating funding goes through this committee, which Kembra will speak to.
And Are you also aware, or do we have home dollars and home ARP? And I was looking at that stuff and it was all looked like 2023. It's like must have a different website, but it's because they were talking about it at NLC, like it's right now. I was like, what's going on? So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that that was part of it too. I will think maybe about another question after somebody else has asked.
Yeah, I have a quick question, really, just to address the ordinance itself. The reason
Yes.
you're asking to reduce the number and change the name.
Great, yeah, so I'll give a brief statement on what you have in front of you for this proposed first reading of this ordinance. The Citizen Advisory Committee, we are asking for a name change to Community Development Advisory Committee so that it's more encompassing of the scope of the work that the Community Development Department now does, and the committee can further support that scope, that expanded scope. And the reduction of members, it's only just 2 from 11 to 9, and that is to help us maintain quorum. We do have timeliness considerations because of these federal funds. So, and having public hearings to be able to move those actions forward, even just reducing those 2 members will be great in helping us to establish quorum to maintain timeliness.
Yeah.
The 2 positions that are going to be rolling off, are their terms expiring, or like 2 people getting voted off the island?
Great question. So to be open with where we're at right now, we actually have 1 vacancy, so we only actually even have 10 active members listed, and of that, we are looking to reduce that by 1 more for a member that has not shown active participation in the last few years. So we're hoping to get active membership, active involvement.
Is there a attendance requirement for?
It's a volunteer position like all our boards.
Yeah.
Can there be an attendance requirement?
That's, I do not know the answer to that.
So we'd have to actually go through the federal guidelines for this to see if we can require attendance for volunteers that do this work. So we'll get back to you on that. I don't know how successful we'll be in recruiting volunteers with additional requirements, because we're really grateful for the volunteers that we have that are active. But if we are able to, and the team thinks that's a great idea, we'll definitely bring it to them to consider.
Sure. I mean, I wouldn't expect 100% attendance, or that's unreasonable, but 75% seems reasonable.
That would be fantastic. I do want to mention that one of the things about this committee, because it is overseeing a lot of our federal fund allocations, one of the requirements under HUD is that we do have persons with lived experience on the committee. So we also have to make sure that we're inviting people that are low, moderate, vulnerable persons to be on the committee. And sometimes just in scheduling, that can be a little difficult. So.
Thank you. And I have I'm sorry, did you have any more questions?
That's good for now.
Okay, thank you. Could you talk a little bit about the mission statement or the strategic and vision statement for the committee, like an overall function?
That is a great question. Off the top of my head, I don't know if I remembered the mission or vision statement for it, but they function to help to oversee our fund allocations and then support of our human service and community development fund programs that we have. That includes the federal annual action plan, the consolidated plan, which I would hopefully be able to give a brief update on tonight, and a couple other efforts currently. But again, we'd like to hopefully expand some of that with what it is that we're looking to propose tonight.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councilman Ryan? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there earlier.
I did have more. Did you say you wanted to brief on something, though?
Brief on a future proposed, or not proposed, future work that we have, which is the consolidated plan, and I can do that after this ordinance is at a point where we're addressing that.
Yeah, let's just finish. Any more questions about the ordinance? Okay, yeah, I would, if you could give us a quick briefing, that'd be fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so the committee helps to support a lot of our federal requirements under HUD because of the community development block grants that we get. We do also get home allocation funding. That's through an interlocal agreement with Snohomish County. We had a certain set aside of those funds. We did not get home ARP funds. That went directly to Snohomish County, but of course we got ARPA funds. So this committee, one of the things that we have to do is we have to provide a 5-year long-range plan to HUD that guides our federal spending. It's the same as what Snohomish County is, because they are also a recipient of CDBG funds, same as Marysville. And so we all try and work in tandem for this 5-year plan. There are certain components of the consolidated plan that are fairly important for us to maintain. One is a citizen participation plan that guides the public process for this committee. So this committee is a little bit different in the sense that it does have federal requirements. There are things where we have to go ahead and establish and hold the public meetings that we set up, requirements for postings, public comment periods, things like that. So we have a CPP, and then we also have what's called the Affirmatively Furthering Fair Housing rule that we also have to maintain. This is the first year that the city of Everett's going to pick that up. In the past, we've done an analysis of impediments to fair housing that support the consolidated plan. The AFFH rule now requires that we do an equity plan, so that's going to be another component of this consolidated plan that's coming up. And under the consolidated plan, each year is supported by what's called an annual action plan. What I was hoping to debrief, or what I'm debriefing you on tonight, is the fact that this is kind of kickstarting our engagement process for it. In some of the slides that you have, you see kind of what the timeline, our phasing is. It's long. We have until May of next year to get all this prepared and submit it to HUD. But we're kicking off engagement now for that. You will see around the community and in city buildings that we have a flyer that we've already started to try and get out. This is also translated in Spanish. We pulled also the top 10 languages from Everett Public Schools that we can also translate material into. We're looking to help have people help to advocate for us so we can reach at least 1,000 survey responses. We have an online survey that we're hoping that people can help to take. It's about 5 to 7 minutes long is how long it takes. And it's going to help determine funding needs for the consolidated plan for the next 5 years. That's probably that in a nutshell. I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any on that.
Great. Any other questions? Yeah. Councilmember Ryan.
Great. And what's the website for where people can go to take that survey?
Great question.
Is it maybe everettwa.gov/2025 con plan?
It is.
Oh,
Thank
great.
you for
Great.
listing that out loud.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, everettwa.gov/2025 con plan. Is the due date for the survey the March 27th? Is that, am I connecting dots correctly?
No, actually, so we are doing, on March 27th, we're doing a lunch and learn with our existing subrecipients. We're seeing that they are some of our first advocates in the community, as well as the council and our other community committee members in helping to, we need feedback from persons, again, who are low, moderate income and vulnerable, right? So we want our subrecipients who currently receive this funding to work with their clients and helping to establish these needs. But the survey is open until the end of July, and so until August 2nd, we are collecting input. We will be hosting or having a public hearing hopefully, on August 20th. So we're going to be able to collect all the input from now until August 2nd, hopefully getting that over 1,000 responses for that. And then we will be presenting needs at the public hearing, opening up for public comment, and then it actually comes to you guys for adoption through resolution.
Great. If there's extra flyers, I'd be happy to take them to my neighborhood association meetings, which is part of my next question of if the Council of Neighborhoods has been activated to send links to their neighborhoods or reach out.
Fantastic question. So a couple of things. We do already have some stuff. If anybody would help to, wants to be interested in helping to spread the word, I will not deny any help on that. Love to see the input for it. That being said, we do have mandated entities that we need to coordinate with. Right now, it's trying to get the word out. Neighborhood groups are definitely one of those, as well as other city departments, other governmental agencies, other community providers, even some private businesses. So at some point, we will be going to the Council of Neighborhoods. We will be working with also the neighborhood chairs. If there's an in-person request for us to come to any of the neighborhood meetings, happy to do that. This next month, and right now, we're kind of doing internal coordination with city functions. So we're already working with the Everett Public Library. They have about 20,000 people that are on their news flash that we want to kind of try and connect this through for April. And we're also working with the community support team, council, presenting this, and then in April, we're going to really start to launch and doing in-person events. We want to try and get in as many places as possible for this. So we'll start to kind of see what availability we can start to fit for scheduling in the next few months with it. But council neighborhoods, neighborhood groups are definitely on our list.
Great, yeah, happy to help when I can.
Wonderful.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Just a general question. How often does this happen? Is this a first-time thing? It sounds so new and inviting and exciting, but have we done this before as a city?
Great question. Yes, we do this every 5 years.
Okay.
But that being said, we are hopefully trying to do renewed efforts because I'm kind of tickled about it, so I'm going to try and make this brief. HUD put out the Community Development Block Grant funding back in 1974. Everett kind of got the giddy up really fast on this. So next year is going to be the 50th year that we've been putting out federal funding. And I know it's kind of like, whew. And with that, we already have an interactive dashboard that we're trying to help create on the website that's going to show how we've done our investment over the last few decades. And this is something that we put out over $30 million through this funding. The city of Everett has put out over $30 million for investment in the community since we've been doing this program. So we have 49 years of doing this. So if you see excitement and renewed kind of energy with it, it's because we're also very excited for this next year to be our 50th year for being able to use these funds in the community. Thank you for letting me say that.
Any other questions?
Absolutely.
Okay. Great, well, thank you very much for the short presentation.
Yes.
Good job. All right, with no further business, we are now adjourned.